Right here in this clip, we have the Liberals and the Conservatives debating over this AriveCan. And hey, you know, like everything, we know that they're all trying. Are the Liberals 100% corrupt? Absolutely not. Could they do better? That's why we all love to watch politics. Check this out. It's going to get heated 2024.
Telling Canadians that the
we'll just move through this first. Okay. So on the amendment of Madame Fortier, I'm looking to get some consensus from the committee members on that. I see it. Thumbs up on Zoom. Okay.
Now here, let's see if the dynamic changes with the Conservatives having more support, but not going to the polls, of course. Will we see a calmer Conservatives knowing that they're in the lead, or will they double down? I don't know. Check it out.
Instead of telling the truth that he, in fact, was in Ottawa, engaged in private meetings, he furthered his own selfish private interests in taking a surfing vacation on the very first day that he created.
I guess Brock is doubling down. Check it out.
It was embarrassing, and it was shameful, and it was an event that should not have happened. So again, these are things that I wanted to bring to the attention of this committee, that this Jamaican Christmas vacation is not a one-off. It displays a pattern of miscommunication and deceit by the Prime Minister's office, giving 3 different versions of the truth as to what they communicated to the Conflict of Interest and Ethics Commissioner. And we as parliamentarians, but more importantly, Canadians from coast to coast to coast, need some daylight shed on this issue. And for all of those reasons, I support my colleague's motion.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Brock. On the motion, I do have a list. I have Ms. Khalid, followed by Ms. Damoff, suivi par Monsieur Gourde, et Madame Fortier après Monsieur Gourde. Ms. Khalid, go ahead, you have the floor. On the motion.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. And I think on the motion, I think it's important for us to understand the context of it. So if it's okay with you and through you, Mr. Chair, I'd like to ask Mr. Barrett, I know that he had written to the Conflict of Interest Commissioner. He had written a letter. I'm just wondering if he had gotten a response and what that response was. And if that's okay, once I get the answer from Mr. Barrett, I'd like to take the floor back.
Mr. Barrett, do you have a response for Ms. Khalid or not?
I'd say that the most relevant point from the commissioner's response was that he's not able to share correspondence, if there was any, between the Prime Minister's office and his office. And so, hearing from the ethics commissioner and then being able to make a decision as a committee on if we were going to have documents produced, the committee deciding if we were going to have a review of the act. These are all things that we can do, but it's not something that the commissioner can do proactively.
Thank you. Go ahead, Ms. Khalid. You have the floor.
Thank you very much for that, Mr. Chair. I'm quite perplexed, actually. I mean, on the one hand, we give the Conflict of Interest Commissioner the ability, the privilege to look into and to consult with each member of Parliament, each elected official's affairs, to help them and guide them in how we conduct our affairs in the most ethical, the most transparent manner. And so, as Mr. Barrett had written to the Ethics Commissioner on this specific issue, it would be really nice to see, because this matter is now before the committee, what the actual response was. I would love for Mr. Barrett to share with the whole committee what the Ethics Commissioner responded back to him on these questions that we are all deliberating right now on this emergency meeting on this 106.4. So I'm hoping that Mr. Barrett, on his own accord, would be able to share and just forward, whether through the clerk or to all of our committee members, what the exact response was. It really, I think, calls into question how we conduct ourselves as members of parliament and the importance of the transparency with which we operate and the importance of making sure that there is trust in democratic institutions. I mean, like over these past couple of days, I've kind of delved into this question of whether, like, what's the difference between taking a vacation with a family friend, having consulted with the ethics commissioner, letting them know that you were about to do this, and then paying back the flights for it, versus going on a trip with a Hungarian think tank to the United Kingdom and having thousands of dollars worth of fine foods. What is that? Where is that line? I mean, how do we really understand and appreciate what our role is as members of parliament? What is the role of the Conflict of Interest Act? And I think that this is, whether it was important or not to members of the opposition, I think this is an important question for us to really expand and to understand the nature of the study here, and to understand and appreciate that this is not just about one person. This is about an institution. It is about how we conduct ourselves. How do we ensure that that transparency and the obligation to Canadians exists in how we operate as members of parliament, being in a place of privilege where we have the opportunity to make policy, to advocate on certain issues, and what influences those issues. I mean, I just wonder if a Hungarian think tank would like to influence how we operate here in Parliament, and whether a stake would really implicate or influence what the Conservatives would want to advocate for or not. But I think that perhaps this matter really requires a deep understanding as to how the Conflict of Interest Act really operates within our Parliament, and how we can ensure that transparency exists and that we continue to maintain trust in our democratic institutions.
Well, what do you think? Like, subscribe, and comment, and keep the trust. Have a good day.